I'm guessing that most of us can think of a game that either A, has served as therapy, or B, has served us to therapy. Therapy and games are often thought of in a context of mental health, but a wide variety of practitioners are finding new ways to integrate games into their care. For instance, how could a game about building railroad tracks together help assess, build, and manage cognitive load? Our next speaker comes to the stage as a licensed occupational therapist with over 6 years of experience. Khadija Mufta is going to talk to us a bit about the nature of occupational therapy, games that she integrates into her own practice, and some things that you can think about as a developer if you would like your game to have some therapeutic applications as well. Please welcome to the stage, Khadija Mufta.
Hello, hi. My name is Hadija Muftal Ladyju. I'm an occupational therapist, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can leverage your games for therapy and rehabilitation. So first off, let's start with what is OT? And if you don't know, you're not alone because it's actually a common meme within our profession that we get mixed up with PT a lot, and a lot of people don't know what OT is. So as occupational therapists, what we do, we analyze activities to find out the why, the what, and the how, the physical, the visual, and cognitive barriers that are preventing someone from completing an activity. We work together with other healthcare professionals on building the bridge towards independence. And as therapists, we have different therapeutic approaches, but some of our core approaches are the remedial and the compensatory. And remedial approach is basically an approach that works on skills that we know that can improve, like strength or some visual perceptual skills or attention. And then when those things are not necessarily improving, we switch to the compensatory approach, where our main focus is on independence in activity. So that means we might provide things to make the activity easier versus just working and practicing the activity itself. And then sometimes we use both. And I would like to emphasize that just because someone is using a compensatory approach doesn't mean they won't go back and use a remedial approach. All things are valid within any stage of anyone's, therapeutic journey. Okay, so why do therapists like me like video games? And number one is video games are a safe place to fail. The game doesn't judge you if you make a mistake or if you do something that you may have regretted or you wanted to go back and do it. The game is right there to tell you that you can start all over again. Number two, video games are a great place to practice skill development. It gives you an avenue that you can do and repractice different skills over and over again to you see fit. And video games provide the just right challenge. And I want to just emphasize this is something that I've seen really cool level designers and video game developers who know a little bit more about gameplay loops. They also know about the just right challenge because you can't make the experience too easy, because if it's too easy, your clients don't feel like they gain anything from it. And if it's too hard, your clients don't feel like they've actually been able to achieve anything. So you need to meet them at the just right challenge so they gain stuff and they still feel challenged, but it's also still a rewarding experience. And number four, video games are a great place to process hard topics and change and navigate social emotional challenges. Watching someone go through something that is maybe a hard topic like grief or coming to age, social challenges or problems can really help someone process their own experiences. Now I want to touch upon some therapist tools that I use, and I'm going to bring that back to some games that I like using. So this one right here, it's called Spring Listen Up. This worksheet basically works on the executive function skills, which is like following two-step directions, working memory. Working memory is a skill that you need to, how do I stay on task while I'm doing other things? And, of course, the hidden pictures, something that we've kind of all probably seen in the Scholastic workbooks, the Where's Waldo's workbooks. Those are working on the visual perceptual skills of figure ground discrimination. Can I find something in a busy space? And these are skills that people mainly don't realize they use every day, especially when you're looking for items. Another thing that this kind of does too is form consistency. If something's blocking an item, can I still tell that's that item? It could be shape discrimination. And can I recognize that this is the same shape if it's turned on its side or is upside down? And another thing, the last one is called reading a map. And I feel like it combines both of this. It combines the cognitive skills of following directions and working memory, and also the visual skills of being able to recognize different items. But I also like to think of this in a cool way of this is kind of like your main quest is reading the map, and then all your side objectives are all the, other questions below that. So this game briefly, I want to touch upon number 4. It goes back to processing hard topics. Everyone can think of a game that processes or that goes over grief or goes over death, like Spiritfarer is a beautiful game. But this one is fairly new. And I like this game because it brings the topic of grief and addressing that with from a young masculine perspective, which in society is not something you see quite often. And I love the fact that it does this and everywhere in the game where you're playing this, the character is basically being told to feel and it's okay to do all those things. And another thing is this is a platformer game. It's really great for impulse control because you can't in platformer games just barrel through. You have to stop and think. Platforms are moving. There might be monsters that are impeding you from just going straight forward and barreling through the level. So that's why I like platforming games for that particular reason. This is another game called Unrailed, and this one touches upon the executive functioning components of working memory. Our main task is to, of course, make sure our train has train tracks to go on, but we also have to be making our train tracks at the same time. We have to be, gathering rock and then also gathering wood, but I can be a player too. I can be a hands-on therapeutic person and help that my clients either take on more responsibility when it comes to those cognitive tasks, or I take on more and I give them more gradually till they're fully independent. And I love that game for this reason. This game is called Kato. It's a demo right now, but I really want to emphasize the mechanics that I love in this game is that you're essentially playing as two characters. There is the sentient butter toast, and then there's the cat. And I love this game in particular reason is that both of the controls are non-competing. They don't overlap. You don't need to use the same controls to control the cat or to control the toast. And this is really good for someone who's learning how to use an adaptive controller or a game controller or adaptive mice for the first time. And I love this game because I can play this game with someone while they're learning to press these buttons. And then eventually, what's really cool about this game is we can work together and use the buttons together, or eventually they could just play it by themselves and they can learn how to use more buttons. The next game I'm also going to touch upon, and this is a game that I've recommended to more older clients who really need that gamified body doubling experience. It's called Spirit City. This has a Pomo timer. It has a task list that you can use, which is really cool. And you can also track your habits as well. And there's a journal, so someone could really work on how they're processing some things. And it gives that body doubling experience because you can shape your environment while you're capturing spirits. And these little tiny spirits are the incentives to doing your task. It's a really cool game, but it really touches upon maybe the focus on the initiation, the completion, the problem solving of doing tasks that are just not in the game, but outside the game itself. This game is also a demo, and I love this game for the reason of this is my Where's Waldo. This is not something I would recommend for clients that are young, maybe older clients, because one of the scenes does have a bar scene, and there are some people who are inebriated. But this is really great for anyone who's recovering from a stroke injury, from a brain injury, who's working on those visual skills, but also want to have fun too as well. And if you want to use this for like younger clients, there is 1,000 cats, there's 1,000 frog games that are all free on Steam right now that you can use that essentially works on the same skills, which is figure ground discrimination. And what's really cool is that in this game, it gives you hints. For someone who's working on some cognitive skills, those hints may not be, it might be still too vague, but I can intervene as a therapist and give them more hints or give them places to focus on, so I can still provide therapeutic cues while I'm using this game. So let's talk about play, and what we know about play. Play is a really integral part of learning and cognitive development. Executive functioning, one of the skills that I've been talking about, is an essential part of play. It defines how we learn and not what we learn. And we know that young adults often don't really like educational materials related to therapy that are boring. We know they need to, even if they're delivered digitally, play needs to be an aspect of that for young adults to really relate to the materials. Play stimulates cognitive flexibility, inhibitory control, that's impulse control, which I touched upon with Tales of Kanzara, working memory, and that also helps self-attention, filter out distractions, self-regulation, self-control, problem solving, and mental flexibility. And the evidence suggests that it actually is a really good intervention when you're working on like youth depression. I know they're still trying to figure out more substantial evidence with anxiety, but we're going to talk about that in the next slide. So some video game facts. We know it's not the quantity of time now. So everyone talks about screen time. It's actually the quality of the content and the quality of the game that really affects and impacts someone. They did a large survey with over 12,000 players and from 12 different countries. And they have said that video games help them reduce stress, anxiety, and feelings of isolation. We know globally, these players that were in the study, they're weekly players. They weren't just, one-off casual players. They believe that video games improve their creativity, their problem-solving skills, their cognitive skills, and collaboration skills. So coming from the mouth of babes. And, just kind of touch upon my therapist wish list. So if I had a wish list for a game that I wanted to use, I love the fact that if I could have some renamable save files so I can use the same game with multiple clients and they all pick up where they last left off, that would be amazing. Also local co-op. I like playing games myself. And I feel like that's essential. You want the therapists who are going to be using video games should like video games, but having the hands-on approach is really great because this helps clients that may not want to ask for help, but if I'm part of the game mechanics that you need my help, that makes it easier. Button remapping goes without saying. It helps people be able to play games with the assistive devices that they need. Difficulty sliders, that helps to create that just right challenge of how hard things are with, enemy HPs and maybe like, speed as well. And in-game stopping points really is helpful for anyone who has anxiety or OCD who may struggle with stopping and giving themselves a break. When the game already has a stopping point or a waiting room in between levels, that helps tremendously. And also accessible controls, which is really good for anyone who might need buffer time for memory challenges and everything like that, because they need to be able to relearn or replay some things that they may have had a tutorial in the beginning. It's nice to have that access to a tutorial at all times of the gameplay. And then overall tests for accessibility, because all these things that I've talked about are things that we ask when we want to make a game more accessible to others. When you test for accessibility and you play test with therapists and you play test with people who may have disabilities, you're going to find out that a lot of our needs overlap. Okay. So last thing I'm going to touch upon is virtual reality. It's really big in the rehabilitation space. We're still learning, and there's a lot of research that is now being focused on virtual reality and rehabilitation. I just want to touch upon two really cool things that are going on right now. The Raphael Smartboard, which was developed in Korea, it's basically a virtual reality device that has takes away basically gravity when someone's moving their arm after they recover from a stroke. And then there's the VR component where they're kind of drawing and everything. You can see that there. Also, the only VR program that has attained FDA approval right now for chronic lower back pain is big right now. It's an 8-week self-administered behavioral based VR program. And essentially it focuses on how our brain in chronic pain with, distraction and deep breathing and all those things, how that improves the long term of chronic pain users, especially with lower back pain. So in conclusion, important breadcrumbs that I would love for you to take away from this is just like playtesting, involving therapists in the development of your game is crucial for leveraging therapeutic use case and for your game. Collaborating with game developers and educators and therapists to connect the concepts of therapeutic interventions is so essential. You want to have therapists with real life experience with working with video games and clients. And those who go beyond just the academic institutions and research, you want people who have that real life experience with working with clients. They are both, I would say, valuable in the team, but both need to be there. And games are more than just entertainment. They can be very powerful tools to enhance and improve the lives of people, especially within mental health and enhancing various skills. Here are my resources briefly. And you can contact me at LinkedIn for any of your therapy consulting needs. Thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of the conference. And goodbye.
Thank you so much for that talk, Khadija. Games can be used in a wide variety of ways to help people, and it was really cool to see not just a variety of games, but to hear a variety of techniques and to learn what an occupational therapist is. Also, I saw the Kato demo in there and got really excited because that demo is really good. Like, I mean, if you think about it, like you have a cat and cats always land on their feet, but then you got a slice of toast and toast always lands butter side down. So you strap toast to the cat and then how do you, and it, I'm distracted. Thank you so much for that talk, Hadija. Folks, if you want to follow her, you can find her over on LinkedIn at Hadija Maftal Lediju. Thank you again so much.